Hey, folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Wednesday, January 8th. The Pittsburgh Steelers will have their second practice of the week leading up to their wildcard playoff game against the Baltimore Ravens. They're going over to Acrisure Stadium for practice today, I would assume in an effort to replicate the field conditions they'll be having in Baltimore this week while also not tearing up their practice fields over on the south side. Steelers and Ravens both play on grass. So, that's my guess is the goal. Oftentimes, when it is snowing, as it is in Pittsburgh today, the Steelers practice inside just to preserve their grass on the south side, not because they care so much about being afraid of a few snowflakes, but want to get the conditions in. And also, looks very unlikely that the Steelers will be hosting another game at Acrisure Stadium this season. Not entirely impossible, but extremely unlikely that the 6th seed would be hosting a game, so they'll head over there. Today I want to talk about the Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens playing for the third time in the season. That has been something that has happened 5 times before in Mike Tomlin's tenure as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, and they have won 3 of them. They've lost 2. And I just want to talk about a little bit about those games, what goes into winning against a team a third time, and how it might apply this week. So the Steelers lost a third game against the Cleveland Browns in 2020. They beat the Cincinnati Bengals in 2015. They lost to the Ravens, the only playoff loss to the Ravens, in 2014. And they beat the Ravens in 2010 in the divisional round and in 2008 in an epic AFC championship game. So let's break down these matchups here a little bit. In every single one, in the last 4 of those, except for 2008, the teams had split the regular season games. In 2008, the Steelers swept the Ravens and then beat them in the AFC Championship game, winning all 3 against Baltimore. These last 4, though, the teams had split the previous 2 games, setting up a rubber match sort of situation, and the Steelers went 2-2. So it just sort of seems like, unless you have a really good team, which the 2008 Steelers were, obviously, on their way to winning a Super Bowl, these sort of closely defined matchups where the teams are super familiar with each other have devolved into a coin flip. And obviously the Steelers and the Ravens split this year. And I think that should provide some level of confidence for the Steelers going into this one. I know they're on the road. I know they've been playing well lately, and the Ravens have been playing very well lately. But I think the matchup is one that does favor the Steelers. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, I asked him about this concept on Monday and asked him, what about those games does he remember? And what about them do you think makes, important about winning a third game against a team? And I'm going to read you the quote here. It says, I think the more familiar you are, the more significant the strategic component is. But as a coach, I welcome that. I want the responsibility of being a component of how this game unfolds and to try to stay a step ahead of them. I'm sure they have the same agenda regarding us. It doesn't get routine with each matchup. It gets more sophisticated, it gets more complex, and from a coach's perspective, more fun. Interesting that he gave that quote in the same press conference where he basically admitted that they tanked the Steelers' offensive game plan against the Bengals because they were afraid to turn the ball over against Joe Burrow and lost the game because of it. Interesting dichotomy there. I think you should trust Mike Tomlin against the Baltimore Ravens on defense, right? Like if you break down this matchup and say, okay, Steelers offense versus the Ravens defense, man, I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of I don't know that the Steelers coaches getting into their bag and making some changes or outwitting and out strategizing the Baltimore Ravens defensive minds is really something I see in the cards here. I mean, the first game between the teams, the Steelers won. The Steelers didn't score a touchdown. And so, like, that I have a hard time believing. But the Steelers' defense against the Baltimore offense, they've kind of had their number. Lamar Jackson has his worst passer rating of any team against the Steelers. 2 games against the Steelers this year, he had 207 yards passing in them. He had a 66 passer rating in the one, ended up going over 100 in the second one because he had 3 touchdowns. But that was because the Steelers didn't stop Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was the guy getting them to the red zone. It just happened to be Lamar Jackson finishing off the drives at the end. But the Steelers have Lamar's number. Like I think they have, in terms of that matchup, a nice tactical advantage that the Ravens are the ones that are going to have to figure out a way to overcome there, not the other way around. The Steelers have to figure out how they can stop Derrick Henry, but the Steelers have always been a team that's been pretty good at stopping the run. That's an aberration. They're a pretty good run defense. So I think this is an interesting setup. And I've really been watching Hard Knocks as well. Like the similarities between Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh are very strong. This is very much like playing your brother. And in many ways, I think Baltimore, maybe not so much recently, but when the franchise first started, sort of sought out to intentionally emulate the Steelers in a lot of ways. And so I think it does mean, like, if the Steelers win this game, that's a really good coaching job by Mike Tomlin. Like, it's going to take a really good coaching job by Mike Tomlin and his entire staff for the Steelers to win this game. Now, we've gone all, me and Smitty go rounds about the playoff win thing and whatever, but like, I want your guys' opinion. If the Steelers win this game, is all of the last 4 weeks forgiven? Do you say that the Steelers came into the season needing to win a playoff game, and how they got there doesn't really matter if they win a playoff game? And also, like, do you acknowledge that it's going to take a good coaching job to beat a team you're playing for the third time of the season that just beat you by 17 points a few weeks ago on the road against one of the best football players in the NFL? Like, if the Steelers win, it's not going to be because their players are better than Baltimore's players. I think that ship has sailed. If the Steelers win, it'll be because they won this third game coaching battle. And I don't know. Or maybe they'll just win because the fumble luck will finally swing back the other way and they finally recover one. And then we won't have anyone to blame but whoever designed the shape of the football. Think on that. Let me know what you guys think. That's all I got for today. Maybe we'll bring this up with Smitty on the afternoon drive. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube platform so you don't miss an episode. Steelers Morning Rush, Steelers Afternoon Drive. Be back with more with Smitty around 6. And Aaron Becker will have some sights and sounds from Acrisure Stadium. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, enjoy.